The Halo remake is real. It is called Halo Campaign Evolved. I got to play a small preview of it, and look, I'm just gonna get it out of the way. I don't know about this one.
Go! You gotta come to a welcoming party, sir.
Before we get into it, here are my 3 takeaways from my short little time with Halo Campaign Evolved. 1, this is more than just a visual overhaul of Halo Combat Evolved. It also is bringing over a lot of the modern Halo mechanics, such as sprint, zoom on weapons that didn't originally have zoom, like the assault rifle. It's trying to take OG Halo and bring it up to the gameplay standards of modern Halo. 2, this game is a showcase for what Halo looks like on the Unreal Engine. And this is gonna be, I think, pretty subjective for a lot of folks, but for myself, I am still not fully convinced if Unreal Engine is the correct fit for Halo aesthetically. And my 3rd takeaway is I'm still not really sure who this is for, like what purpose this thing is serving, other than just providing another opportunity to replay Halo 1, a game that is already very accessible and easy to play. A remake of Halo 1 should be exciting, right? I am a huge fan of Halo. It's one of my favorite games of all time. It's a classic, and as easy as it can be to be cynical about remakes, I do think there are some remakes that have proven their value. Resident Evil 2 and 4 remake, I would consider not only excellent remakes, but 2 of the best games ever made. So I always try and come into a remake with an open mind. Unfortunately, the small slice I played of Halo Campaign Evolved didn't really impress me all that much. It was buggy visually, as well as had very poor frame rate. Something that I expect to be cleaned up in a full version, but as a first-time impression, it wasn't very good, which you think they would know you kind of need to nail that first impression, wink wink, Halo Infinite. So I find it sort of bizarre that they chose to show us what is very clearly a work in progress slice like this. But even outside of that element, I just wasn't fully convinced that this remake needs to exist. I don't particularly care for the way Halo has been translated into the Unreal Engine. I'm not fully convinced that the Unreal Engine is like the right fit for Halo, both aesthetically, but even like playing it, it didn't quite have that rock solid Halo feel that you kind of just have to hold at a controller to fully understand what I mean by that. But let's roll it back here and explain what the heck this thing even is. So Halo Campaign Evolved is a remake of Halo 1's campaign. So this is different from what Halo 1 Anniversary was, which was just, hey, it's new visuals, but they were layered on top of that original game. This is built from the ground up in Unreal Engine. So everything is completely remade, and that means that it has a very different feel from the original Halo. The controls feel a little bit more modern. It has a sprint, which I'm sure will be a little controversial for some purists out there. It also has things like zoom on the assault rifle. Basically, if you're familiar with the way Halo Infinite feels, this is trying to invoke that. Although it doesn't quite have the same level of mobility option, there's no mantle or anything like that. So first thing out of the gate, it was really hard to judge how this thing feels. Like when I think of Halo, I think of a game that feels good to play. The frame rate, unfortunately, for this demo was very poor, and that made it very difficult to judge just how the combat feels, how aiming feels. How do I give an opinion on that? Because it's clearly like, I don't think they want it to feel like that. This felt so like jittery that it's just like, I can't evaluate this. I can't really judge. And for context, this is running on the Xbox Series X, not a PC. So this is currently what it is like on an Xbox machine. So the demo itself was the first half of the Silent Cartographer, which makes a lot of sense. It's the most iconic level of the original Halo. And also, for you OG Halo PC fans out there, it was the demo level for the 2003 Gearbox port. So, you know, a cool little nod. Because this is a complete reimagining of this map, the thing I initially noticed was, obviously, it has a lot more detail in the environments. It's also a little smaller, a little more shrunk in on the outside levels compared to the kind of like wider maps of the OG version. I don't think this is necessarily a good or a bad thing. It's kind of just a case of them readjusting the scale of how these levels work based on kind of modern geometry. I just thought it was kind of interesting that it isn't this one-to-one like exact recreation. They do seem to be kind of messing with the scope and scale of certain environments to fit this kind of more modernized vision of how these maps look. There's also a lot of other little changes that they've made throughout the levels. Enemy placement is largely the same, but they've also added new enemies in spots throughout the map. There's also a couple missing elements. For example, I couldn't find any overcharges for the shield in the game, so it's jury's out whether that is going to still be a mechanic in this one, or they just didn't implement it in this current build. Interestingly, the shield and health system itself has been changed. You still have your shield, and you have a health bar as well, but that health bar is a recharging health bar. So there are no more med kits in this version of Halo, which kind of, again, puts it more in line with modern Halo, but I am sure that will be a somewhat controversial change for OG purists as well. For me, it didn't really fundamentally change the way the game felt too much, but admittedly, I would have been fine with those health packs staying in as they were in the original. Warhogs in the game, this was actually the one element I felt that felt exactly like OG Halo in terms of the handling and the physics of it. It felt really good. They do explode like in later Halos, so no more using like invincible vehicles to do insane trick shots, unfortunately. Also, this is just funny, but when Master Chief gets out of the gunner, he does this cool little spin now, which is just very silly. I don't know why they added that. As far as weapons go, they were all the same that they were in the original level. So you got your Magnum, your assault rifle, I got to mess with the Needler, the plasma pistol, and the plasma rifle. They all feel pretty much, I would say, comparable to how they do feel in the original Halo. The Magnum is still very much a powerhouse of a weapon. They've changed the enemy health a little bit to make them a little bit more tanky. It feels more in line, again, with the way like the enemies feel in modern Halo. With the one exception of the Hunters are weirdly difficult in this version. If you play OG Halo 1, the Hunters feel like tanks, but you can actually like one-shot them with the pistol by shooting them in the back. You can't do that in this version. And myself and several of our coworkers all found the Hunters to be like just way too much health, way too tanky. I had to like go through all my ammo to take them out at one point. So that felt like off. So there's like a weird imbalance there that I think they still need to tweak on those. Otherwise, the enemies, like they feel like Halo enemies. The grunts explode in this one in the way they do in more modern Halos that they didn't in the original. The elites are flanking and rolling the way you'd expect them. So that all felt correct. But again, it was hard to fully judge the smoothness of the combat due to the low frame rate. I imagine the biggest selling point out of the box for this remake here would be the change in visuals. As I said up front, the game runs now on Unreal Engine 5. Microsoft made a big deal that all future Halo games will run on the Unreal Engine. There's obviously a lot of good behind-the-scenes development reasons for that. It's easier to work with. You can hire more people on. You can port it to other platforms, like, say, the PlayStation 5, or even the Switch. Although, man, based on the way this thing ran, I don't think that would run on the Switch. So I understand all that. What ultimately matters for myself, though, is just playing the game. Does the Unreal Engine do justice to Halo, the way it looks and the way it feels? Based on what I have experienced with this, I am not convinced. This is a game that I think looks technically very good. You can look at the little details, you can see the way The water washes in on the sand. You can see the little footprints. You can zoom in on the grass. There's probably a lot of really cool little details that make this thing look modern and nice. But when I zoom out and look at it holistically, the vibe this game gives me is I opened up an AI prompt generator and I typed in Halo Unreal Engine 5 realistic go, and that's what it gave me. I see it and I'm like, yep, that's Halo. That's Halo in Unreal Engine 5. I know that other people are maybe not gonna feel that way. They're gonna think it looks great. That's a very subjective opinion, but that is just like how I feel when I look at it. And it does not inspire me or excite me when I see it. Even though it does technically look really nice, it just doesn't excite me at all. Another criticism I have of the Unreal Engine-ness of this version of Halo is that it just has a lot of those weird little modern quirks that a lot of games have now that I just think look kind of ugly. You get that grainy noise in a lot of the shadows and lighting. You can see it really prominent here on the plasma rifle. It's this thing that just like some Unreal Engine games, some modern games have that just, I think, makes the image look noisy and ugly, and it lacks that like clean clarity that I really associate with Halo and like games of its era, and I just don't like the way it looks.
We need to find the security override to get this door open.
I want to be very clear that my opinions here are all based on what is a very small slice of the game, which, you know, is still being worked on and still has a lot more development on it. There's a lot of things that we haven't seen. In the reveal video that Halo Studios put out, they talked about how they're making lots of changes to the Flood, which sounded really exciting. They mentioned that they are adding 3 new prologue campaigns, which could be the thing that makes this product worth its existence. The idea of something completely brand new has me excited. They mentioned new AI that they're working on for it. Also has me very excited. So everything I've been saying is just based on this small snippet of the game. And I reserve final judgment for when the game does come out. And, you know, I hope that it will end up being a little bit more impressive than what I experienced. I really just think this is not the best foot forward that the game could have presented for me. So yeah, apologies if I just sound extremely negative on this, but to be clear, I want to come in to any game, even a remake, and I want to like it. I want to enjoy it. I love Halo, and I'm not anti remaking a game if there's value in it. We'll see where it goes. It's still in development, but as the first glimpse into the future of Halo, I'm not sure if this is exactly what I'm looking for.